What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down an unguardable route that wide receivers can run to beat any form of man coverage. So I hope this video helps you guys out. I hope it can teach you a few new things. But also, fellas, we are going to be traveling out to 15 states this offseason for 2-day long QB and wide receiver training camps. So if you guys are local to San Francisco, Orlando, New Orleans, Charlotte, Dallas, the DMV, St. Louis, Honolulu, Boston, Cleveland, Austin, Texas, Seattle, Newark, Denver, and Los Angeles, we would love to have you out to one of our 2-day camps. It's 8 hours of training. We're going to have DBs out there the second day for one-on-ones, and it's a small group environment. You guys are going to get coached, and you are going to get better over the course of the weekend. So check out that very first link below, fellas, if you're interested. Let's get started. So now, this first route here that we are going to be covering is a dig route versus inside shade off man coverage. So the thing that is unguardable about this type of route, a dig or a post versus inside shade off man, is being able to attack the outside shoulder and doing it correctly. That's the thing that we have to understand. So I'm going to play this full speed. So this is pretty much, you want to think of this like an elongated diamond release. Everybody is super uncomfortable with doing this, where you attack the outside shoulder of the DB, get him to flip, and you're able to slip underneath. What a lot of wide receivers are more comfortable with doing is trying to stem a DB. He's inside shade, so they angled their stem way inside to try to step on his toes to attack him. But all that DB will do if he's disciplined is keep his leverage. So when we attack leverage, you know he keeps his leverage. You have to attack the outside shoulder to flip him. Now, like I said, this is pretty much an elongated diamond release. Everybody is comfortable with the diamond release, but they're not comfortable attacking outside shoulder when it's 10 yards downfield. But really, you have to think about it like the same way. So let's look at this example here. This is a wide receiver running a slant route, and it's versus inside shade press. So he's attacking outside shoulder for 3 steps, gets him to open up, and is able to win on the slant. That is essentially what you are doing when he is 10 to 12 yards off. Now, like it varies, right? So you see how this wide receiver really attacks the outside. Head down, hips and shoulders committed, running fast, running in full stride. That's what will get the DB to open up, and that's what will get him to move. Just like it's the same thing that applies 10 to 12 yards downfield. You got to understand that the concepts that we use as a wide receiver do not differ. Only thing that differs is the DB's leverage and how deep we choose to use the move. So like if I come up to this, like let's say for example, I come up to the line and I see that this DB's inside shade press like this, but I got to run a post at 10 to 12 yards. I'm going to attack him to the inside and threaten him there, but then take the outside release and maybe work to stack and give a move, or maybe if the DB's on my hip, I throw him by. But if he's lined up like 10 to 12 off and I have to run that post at 10 to 12, that's when I would go right at his outside shoulder. Just like, for example, if he's off and I have to run a slant, I'm just going to run it. But if he's inside shade press at the break point, that's the key. When that DB's at the break point, that's when what we do changes. Then you would attack the outside shoulder. So let's go back to this Cooper Kupp example, right? So he's got this dig route and he's got inside shade. And again, for a dig and a post, I know those are 2 different routes. We're going to be covering both of those, but it's the same concept. It's the same thing, just maybe a different type of break. So now I got inside shade and this DB's sitting at about 8 to 10, we're running like a 10 to 12 yard dig. That's when this would apply. He's sitting at the break point. You almost want to imagine that you're way ahead and that's the line of scrimmage and he's inside shade and you're running a slant. That's how we want to think of it. That's how we can be unguardable on this specific route. So Kupp, what he does, he attacks the outside shoulder. And again, you see he does a little bit of a tempo change, right? Just another way to sell vertical. Anytime that we have that guy sitting at that break point, the leverage of the side of the break, so inside leverage with an inside breaking route, you just got to make it look like a fade. That is the main thing that we were trying to sell. So Cooper Kupp comes up and he does a little tempo change, slows himself down, gets the DB to slow down, and then he accelerates to the outside. And when you can accelerate and you actually have some speed to you, you commit your hips and shoulders, you're running in full stride, your eyes are forward, this DB has no choice but to think it's a fade. Just like that diamond release we just looked at, that DB had no choice but to open up his hips because everything about that looked like a fade. That's how we can be unguardable in this situation. So many people are afraid of this situation, fellas. We get countless numbers of questions on a week-to-week basis, and we appreciate the questions because it helps us know what videos to make. And if you guys have any questions like that on anything else, feel free, leave those in the comment section because we'd be happy to help. But the thing is we know we've seen it time and time again. And when we explain this to guys, it's always a little uncomfortable at first. They're not used to doing this type of thing. They're used to just stemming the guy and running in front of him. But that screws up the spacing and the timing of the play. You have to get comfortable attacking that shoulder, and it comes down to selling vertical, because now I got open, but also I have the correct spacing on the route. I didn't stem way inside, and he's not breaking off on this dig on the opposite side of this Cardinals logo. He's keeping the spacing, and that's what matters for the full play. So let's play this thing again, full speed. Great job hesitating, pushing up and selling vertical to make that break. Now, the one thing that a lot of wide receivers struggle with this specific route is, I would say, the ability to make the cut. I want to skip this clip real quick. We're going to come back to it. But there's a clip here of Dez Bryant doing this against inside shade off man, and he's running a post. So I think where a lot of people go wrong is that they'll try to do this. They'll sell vertical, they'll run hard, but at the break point, they don't have the stability, the balance, or the explosion to make this type of break. And that's why they try to rely on stemming to the inside. So let's watch this clip here from Dez Bryant. So he goes as hard as he can at the outside shoulder, puts the brakes on in one step, and you see how sharp of a cut he makes. So more often than not, football is played off of 1 foot. You're going to be cutting off of 1 foot. You got to put the brakes on 1 foot to run either a post, to run an out, to run a corner. And a lot of wide receivers, what they'll do is they're not confident cutting off of one leg, right? They lack ankle stability. They lack knee stability or leg strength. So they'll go at the outside shoulder of the DB, but they'll make this cut. It'll be a soft cut. And this step, where that step will go, is it won't start to open up. They'll cut, but they will drift 2 yards up, and guess who you're going to be drifting into? That DB who we just got to flip open his hips. So we can't just be that guy who thinks that, oh, I know what to do, so I'm going to be able to go out there and just do it full speed and just break on a dime. I know it certainly seems like that sometimes with these videos, but you got to have a tie-in of both. You have to do the things that will strengthen these elements of your game, because that's what can translate. That's the whole point of training in the first place, right? So doing exercises that involve being on one leg help tremendously with this stuff. So any kind of jump training, maybe you set up a hurdle and you jump on one leg and you jump to the other side and you switch legs. Work on absorbing force. In the gym, you're doing one-legged squats to strengthen this leg. You're doing RDLs for balance. You're doing a lot of things on one leg to help you with that explosion, that stability, but more importantly, that balance. That will allow you to make this specific cut. And don't even mention also, fellas, not to mention, you need to have some flexibility at your hips as well. A lot of times we go back to that very first Cooper Kupp example. When he breaks, you see what he does? He's dropping his hips. A lot of wide receivers can't do this because they'll drop into the break. They won't drop their butt down low enough. They won't drop their hips. They won't be in a good position, and they'll be very tall. And when you're running full speed into a break and you have to make a sharp 90-degree cut, and you're standing up tall, you're not able to get low, there's a problem there, because then you're going to drift upfield and you drift right into coverage. So to be unguardable, to master this type of route, you have to not only know what to do, you not only have to know how to sell it, but you got to know how to get out of the break efficiently and make a sharp cut. Let's go back to that Dez Bryant example. Let's show it again one more time, then we'll get to that last New England Patriots clip. Great job attacking the outside shoulder, time and time again, example after example of how wide receivers can do this. So now we got inside shade coverage. He's going to be running this post route. Now, this is just another example of how you guys can sell vertical, what you guys need to do to sell vertical, and what this can do to a DB. But sometimes he may recover well, which is why we need to make sure that we accelerate out of this break to be unguardable. So let's play at full speed. So he goes right at this outside shoulder, pushing vertical, breaks this thing off, and you see how he's pumping those arms to get out of the break fast. That is something that a lot of wide receivers don't do. Because remember, what was this very similar to, but further downfield? That diamond release, right? So you got a DB who's inside shade, you got to run a slant, you go at his outside shoulder to flip him, and then you slip underneath him. But so many times, wide receivers will do that diamond release. They'll get the DB to flip, they try to slip under, and they're jogging. They're not accelerating to the ball. And that is something that's going to get you locked up. We want to get open, but we want to stay open. And that's very, very important on this type of route to be unguardable. So when he goes at his outside shoulder here, you see pushing vertical, again, makes this sudden cut. Like we said, we got to work on ankle stability, leg strength, balance, so we can slip underneath. But you see how this DB, he knows he got beat. His hips are fully turned. His gait is open. So he's going to try to open up those hips, get hands, and recover as quickly as possible. As a receiver, we got to think of, it's a mindset thing too, to be honest with you. Like, this isn't really something, you could train your speed all day long, but if you don't have that mindset of accelerating out of your breaks, we won't be able to get separation. So it's a mindset that ball, wherever it's thrown to me, it is a race between me and the DB there. There is a finish line, and I'm trying to win that race. Because when you can accelerate to the ball, you keep your arms pumping, you keep your legs driving, and we can win with that catch. That can get me so much more separation and can make a big difference when it is tight coverage. Maybe there's a hold, whatever. So, fellas, we have to make sure that we know how to run this route. We know we need to work on the things that in the off season in practice to build on this route so I can make a sharp cut and cut on a dime. But also I need to have that mindset of accelerating out of the break. When you think about winning the race to the ball, when you think about running and attacking that ball when it's in the air, that DB cannot cover that. It needs to be what we did wrong is what makes the DB look good. If we do everything correct, especially on a route like this, DB can't win. We have to do everything correct, though, and that's what it is. He's reacting off of us, and if I don't give him anything to react off of, I don't make any mistakes, I should win every single dang time. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by this wide receiver showcasing how to attack the outside shoulder on a post route, get the DB to flip, and then winning the race to the ball by accelerating out of his break. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. We always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you would like to come to one of our off-season camps in 15 different cities across the country, check out that very first link below. It'll be a 2-day training camp, over 8 hours of training compiled over those 2 days. You guys get a ton of work, ton of reps, and it's a small group setting. Not a big group. It's not going to be 150 kids. It's probably going to be about 50 kids, and you'll be in a group of 10 to 12 guys. A lot of reps, and you guys will definitely improve. So check out that very first link below if you're interested, fellas. I'll see you guys next time.